It's the Corvette Web Blast.
Hello, it's Corvette Web Blast number 4, recorded 18th of April 2013. Well, it's about 4 weeks since the last one, and we've got another 45 minutes or so for you today. We're, as usual, at Claremont Corvette here in Kent, in England, with Tom Falconer, our host. Tom, tell us a bit about Claremont Corvette.
Well, we're Claremont Corvette, and we've been fixing Corvettes and restoring them and selling them and doing the parts for longer than I care to remember, but more than 30 years.
And we're in the Kent area, and we have a Kent region of the CCCUK. I was one of the reps a few years ago with the man to my left, which is Gary Garwood, who still is the Kent rep. Hi, Gary.
Hi.
And Gary has met many of our friends over in the US when he's been over to the race at Sebring. And we've got a couple of friends in America now, and they run the Corvette C5 and C6 Registry. It's Dake Drennen and Dan Adovasio. Have I got the name right, Dan?
How do you do?
Hi. How are you doing?
Great. Glad to be here and glad you're having us.
No worries. Good.
Great fun.
Good to have you. And now I can see you've got a pretty impressive poster behind you. So this is the C5 and C6 Registry. Tell us, what does the registry achieve?
Well, I can tell you, basically we were started back in 1997 when I got my first Corvette I ever had. And if you remember, in 97 was when the C5 came out, the 5th generation. And they made a little under 10,000 of them, so they weren't around too much. So Jake Drennen and I have been friends for quite a while before that, and Jake had a connection at a dealership who would allow me to order it the way I wanted to. So I ordered the Corvette through his connection, we got it delivered, and everywhere I went in the U.S. even, people would stop me because it was so rare. There was only 9,800 in the whole country. And while we were doing it, I had a lot of questions. And we decided that they're going to have a Corvette show in Labor Day at the National Corvette Museum. So we decided to go there, and we set up a little tent, and we started the C5 registry. And there were 12 Corvettes, 5th generation Corvettes show up, and all 12 of them joined. And we were just thrilled as can be, and we put it up on the internet. And that was the beginning of the internet in this country, really just starting to get really rolling. We put it up on the internet, and we were so proud of the 12 members. By the time we got home on the internet, we had 300 members. So it just kind of exploded from there and just took off way beyond our imagination or dreams. We were thinking if we had 200 or 300 people in the registry, it would be a great thing. And within 3 months, we had 600, and it just kept growing.
So the obvious question, how many members have you got now?
Well, the numbers are a little over 8,500 around the world. Currently, approximately 500 are in Europe. We have a few in Japan, Australia. Actually, we have quite a few in Australia, and a few in miscellaneous countries, including some in South America. So 8,500 total members around the world.
I was working in Australia end of last year, actually, and I sought out the local club and got a trip up the road in a very nice C4, actually. And that's the nice thing with the Corvette, isn't it? Sort of breaks down barriers. I've met a few people here and there with Corvettes. The whole vibe of Corvettes is quite an open, friendly thing, isn't it?
It is. It's great. It's it starts off being about the cars, but it ends up being about people. And meeting a lot of great people. I have all over the world, especially in Europe and here, we've met some really wonderful people.
When we first began about this, we thought we would be the organization that would tell everybody about the C5, especially the 97 car as it had come out, and we were going to be the authority on that C5. And before long, we realized it was about the relationships, and it was nice. They liked to hear about the car, but they also enjoyed making relationships, and so we suddenly did a right turn and became very active and really making it more of a social organization as opposed to a technical organization.
Jake, you ordered a pace car and you watched the car being built. Tell us about that.
In 2008, of course, it was very nice to have Chevrolet decide to do another Indianapolis pace car. They had done 10 or 9 up to that point, that 2008 being the 10th one. And it was very fitting that in 78, when I bought my first Corvette, that was the year that the black and silver Indy pace car was unveiled. And we got talking to some of the engineers and got talking about, hey, it's been, basically 30 years from that particular time frame. And we thought it would be important to go ahead and have them consider doing another black and silver Corvette. And I always said, if you guys do that again, I couldn't afford one back in 1978, but I certainly would buy one in 2008. And I think they kind of took me up on that and let me know they were going to produce those cars, and gave me a chance to go watch mine being built. It was the number third car on the assembly line. It was the second coupe, and these were the cars that were originally going to be used at Indianapolis themselves, but I was able to get one of those cars really for my wife and I, because we dated and met during 1978, and we dated in that 1978 Corvette we had. So I thought it would be pretty cool to have a car in 2008 that was very symbolic of that 30 years before.
Fantastic. So, Jake, take us through your previous Corvette ownership. Was the 78 your first Corvette?
Yes, 1978 was my first Corvette. I actually worked at a Tropical Chevrolet dealer in Miami. I had worked there for almost 10 years. I'd been there just as a young kid coming up, washing cars all the way to writing service, went off to college, came back. And this was when they came out with that bubble window on the 78s, when the rear window was a bubble. I thought that was such a throwback to me, to the 63s and 64s. I thought, wow, this is a car that I really need to save up and own. And so I did, and was able to buy that. And it was just an exciting first car. I kept it for 10 years. And it was a great car to have. I bought, after that, the next car I had was a 1988 Corvette convertible, and then several Corvettes after that. I probably had about 10 over the total period of time, but Corvettes have always been near and dear to my wife and I, and it's always been really neat for my kids to ride around in them and to be part of them. And I think it spread a little bit to my oldest daughter, as she has a Corvette Z06 today. I like to believe that she got the bug from her father and her mother.
I suspect she probably did. Now, one of you's had a delivery from the factory or the museum, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, we've had, in fact, we've had a couple of them, but we've had factory deliveries. It's a great experience to go through. I know for someone from England, it's a little far to come, but for us, it's a great experience. You fly in, they take you on a tour of the factory, they take you through the whole process, and then they bring you over to the National Corvette Museum, where you get to actually, as you walk into the museum, they have your car on display with all the lights on it and the ropes around it, and all the people that are at the museum are looking at it. And you sit down with the museum people, and they review the whole car with you. And it's quite a nice process, but it's very exciting, and it's a lot of fun. I recommend that to many of our members here. It's a great option to have on your car, and there just aren't a lot of them done.
Gary,
the option code is
we're allowed to have that option here, are we, Gary?
I don't think we can. No. I think you can do the engine build program.
Right.
But of course the car would have to be delivered in America.
Right. So can you have a museum delivery, or can you have I think you maybe can do a museum but not the factory. Is that right?
The museum delivery has to be linked to a dealership in the States.
Oh, okay.
So you have it delivered to the local dealer in Bowling Green. That would work great.
Right. Okay.
And then you can ship it from there. I can organise it.
Oh, you can? Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Right, I have to say, anyone that hasn't been to the Corvette Museum, by the way, that's so worth the trip. We did that in year 2000, and had a great time. Have you both been to
Absolutely.
the museum?
Many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when was your last trip to the museum?
Well, I think it was 2003.
Right.
Yeah.
We had an amazing time actually. Because they put an event up on the museum and which had been cancelled, and I think there's a hotel just over the road phoned us up and said, are you booked in here because you're going to the event at the museum? And I said, yes. And they said, well, it's been cancelled. So I phoned the museum and they said, oh, well, just come and say hello anyway. And I ended up meeting the local Corvette club actually in Bowling Green, and we probably had a better time as a result, which was fantastic evening. Once again, testament to the hospitality you get with other Corvette owners. We had a lovely drive up into the mountains and a meal. Great time.
My daughter was in Nashville just a few weeks ago, and I said she ought to go to the Corvette Museum. And then when she got there, she was quite astonished to see all my books for sale in the bookshop. She said, Dad, I never really put it together that you were writing all these books at home and they'd actually be for sale in the museum. I said, yep, darling, that's what I do.
Also available here. There's a whole load of facing us we can't see at the moment. Never mind. What's your latest book? Was it a C4 one?
Latest book was inevitably on C2, but I suppose the next one probably will be on C5. I need to complete my series of C1 through C5, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing, if printed books still exist by the time I get round to it.
Ah, yes, Kindle time. Guys, I know you've been to Le Mans. We've all been to Le Mans on many occasions. How did you find that experience?
That was great. Our first trip that we took to Le Mans was back in 99, 2000, and in fact we shipped Corvettes from the U.S. to England, to Britain, to Felixstowe, and picked them up there, and drove around England to pick up the tunnel to head over to France.
What did you make of the tunnel? Putting your car on a train and going under the sea.
That was great. People were just, the Corvettes in 2000, 25 or 20 Corvettes in a row on the train attracted a lot of attention, to say the least. And everyone got out of their cars and walked around us, wanted to know information, and it was a real experience. I had thought that it wasn't like I thought it would be. I didn't realize you drove right on and just kind of sat in your car if you wanted, or you could get out. I thought somebody stored them in a car and you went somewhere else. So it was a lot of fun. It was great fun.
I always think the weird thing is that it starts so smoothly. You can actually be completely unaware that the thing has started to roll.
Yeah, the first concern I had was the Corvettes are so low. I was really concerned about getting onto that train and dragging the bottom of it, but it worked so well, and you really didn't even know that. I didn't feel I was in anything moving.
No,
it was pretty amazing.
Yes, if you remember, Dan, I went down to meet you when you stopped at the services down on the M20 motorway. So I thought this is going to be easy to catch these guys. I knew when they'd left here, and I was surprised how quickly you got there. But I know you Americans, you have your 55-mile-an-hour limits and you all drive along half asleep. Anyway, I then joined you from the M20 motorway down towards towards the tunnel itself. I could not believe how fast you guys were driving. You must have thought you were in Germany. We did 100 miles an hour the whole way. I was really impressed. Very impressed by the C5 registry and their attitude to driving.
So, guys, how many came over to Le Mans on that occasion from C5 registry?
On that first one, we had 40 people. We had 20 cars, 2 people per car, and it was a real experience for us. It was great fun. Tom was very instrumental, though, in us getting around and actually doing it. He helped us quite a bit. We always appreciated that. And we then drove to Paris, stayed in Paris, and from Paris we went down to south central France to a chateau, because it was the only place I could find rooms for all of us anywhere within 3 hours of Le Mans. And then we, from there, took a couple tours around the south of France, and then we went to the 24-hour race, which everyone in your Corvette owners were very, very, very hospitable, very nice to us. They made us feel very, very welcome. I met a lot of wonderful people. The French Corvette Club was very nice to us. The Brits we had a great time with you guys there. It was just one big party. It was great. I have to commend you. I thought I was pretty good at partying, but you guys do it right. I had a great time there with you.
It's an interesting race, isn't it? You can different people have different approaches to the race. Some people follow the race, and some people kind of have a social event with a race as a backdrop to it. Which route did you take?
I was trying to follow a little bit of the race, but I was more interested in the social because it was a thrill for me to sit and meet all of these people from Europe. You know, in the U.S., if I need a shock for my Corvette, I just walk down to the parts store and get it. In Europe, if you need a shock, it's a process you have to go through. So you have to have a lot of love and devotion to that car because of what you have to go through to maintain it and keep it. I have a lot of respect for the European and British Corvette owners. They really are a dedicated group.
Yeah, I'd share with you the picture that we took out front of the chateau. I don't know how well it comes through with the lighting.
No, it's
this
fine.
Picture was taken out front of all the Corvettes around for that particular event. So I know it probably doesn't come through well, but those are all the 40 people in their cars in front of a Chateau Curzay in southern France.
That's amazing. Those chateaus are just beautiful places to stay, aren't they? Yep. What's great, because do you know where Claremont is in the UK? It's in the sort of southeast corner. So we're very close to the tunnel. So you can actually get up on a Saturday morning and say, I'm going to go to France today, and it's actually a possibility, and get on either a ferry or whatever, and then just have a drive down to Boulogne for lunch. We've done that a few times. I haven't done it for a while actually, and we should do it, because the other thing is for us is we get to drive the car on its correct side of the road.
Yeah, that was when we first came to England. One of our members wanted to go get petrol right away, gasoline right away, and he just jumps in his car and takes off before I could stop him. And he's all of a sudden he thinks he's in America, and he's on the wrong side of the road, and almost hits a truck.
Oh.
I thought, oh, this is the beginning of a trip from hell. It's going to be horrible. But it worked out pretty well once I got him under control.
That's the time it's easy to. I've done that in the States, because you pull out of a gas station, and you can only make this mistake generally if there's nothing around, of course. I remember doing exactly that. Pulled out of a gas station, stayed on the left side of the road, and up the road was a traffic lights, and I suddenly saw 6 headlights all I suddenly veered across the other side of the road. But generally you can't make the mistake when there's a lot of traffic around, because it gives it away.
I was just going to say that I remembered that incident at the hotel where you were staying, I think, where the car he pulled onto the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, it's so easily done in that situation. But of course, once you've done your 60 miles down to the tunnel, you're back on the right side of the road for you guys.
We were in pretty good shape. We had a little trouble in Paris finding the hotel, but we got there and everything worked out well. Tom was very helpful to us once we got to Le Mans. He met us there, and he kind of helped me a lot, showing me around and telling me where everything was. So we had a great time. And we did that 3 years. We did that 3 times. We took cars over.
I remember leading this convoy all over the place, a convoy of beautiful C5s, and me and my little 64 convertible.
Guys, what other cars have you got in your garages at the moment?
I have a 2012 CTSV station wagon, which is a spectacular automobile, just spectacular. I like station wagons because it's unassuming, but when those 556 horsepower kick in, it is ultra fast, very, very quick. And it is a great car to drive around town, and it's got Cadillac luxury, and it looks like a car you take to the grocery store, but yet all the young kids in their souped up Hondas and stuff, I just blow past them. I think they get an amazing look on their face.
The ultimate sleeper.
Yeah.
And Jake?
Currently, 2013 Grand Sport Black. Bought it just a few months back. I just thought it would be nice to have a 60th anniversary. My first Corvette, of course, being a 25th anniversary, so I kind of pick up on them when those anniversary times come along. So, but we're of course very excited about the upcoming C7. But I thought it'd be nice to have a 60th anniversary Grand Sport, and as much as I wanted it to be yellow, my wife persuaded me that it needed to be black, so we got a black one.
So, thoughts on the C7?
This car is fabulous. I'm sure I don't know if you're aware of it, but the interior of the C7 is very, very unique. It's a cockpit design, and it is just beautiful. It's gorgeous, and it turns out that the interior is designed by a Brit, Helen Emsley, who works for Corvette and works for the truck interior. She is one of the main designers at General Motors now, and she does all the new truck interiors and the brand new Corvette interior. And you have to understand, with General Motors, the Corvette is the car that they show everywhere. So only the very best of the best get to work on the new Corvette. And Helen is one of those people, and she's a Brit. I remember when she first came over about 10 years ago, she was in charge of colors for General Motors and picking colors, and she was in charge of colors for Corvette, and that's when I first got to meet her. But she's a wonderful woman, but very, very, very talented, and she's one of the main designers now for Chevrolet and for General Motors.
So how many?
I have to tell my Helen Hemsley story, because we did meet her, and when we saw her again and learned that she was the designer of the C7 interior, we did remind her of this. And a great story for her is that she had just been brought down there by Dave Hill, chief engineer, and she was brought to the birthday bash. And it was 2001, and she was going to unveil the colors for the 2001 Corvettes. And she had grabbed the color palette, all the colors for the 2002 Corvettes the next coming year, and brought those down and was presenting those to everyone and showing them. And of course, I'll never forget Dave Hill giving her the old stop sign. That's not the right palette. So we all sat there in 2001 and saw the 2002 colors, and Helen still laughs about that one today. But she is great, and she is one high energy, very funny, high energy lady. I really enjoy her, and we could not have the Corvette, the C7 Corvette, could not be in better hands for the future of interiors for that brand, as well as other brands at General Motors. But she has done an outstanding job, and when you get a chance to really enjoy the inside of this car, from all the materials they've put together and the way they've done them, it's so far over the top. It is just awesome. One of my favorite pictures I have from going to the Corvette reveal and unveiling in January is all the Stuttgart guys from Porsche and Audi and that area, all being all over the Corvette. 3 or 4 guys were underneath the Corvette, and they all had their Porsche lanyard information on, so you could tell where they were from. And they were scoping that car out from top to bottom. And it's one of the classic photographs that I was able to take and have a good chuckle about.
Because that's always been a criticism of the Corvettes in the past, hasn't it? I know our Top Gear lot have sort of criticised the interior, and they really have stepped up to the plate as far as the interior of the C7 is concerned, isn't it? I know Gary, you've seen one in the flesh, haven't you?
Seen the car, yeah. The interior is fantastic.
And I've seen it on video, but and it does look amazing on the Corvette site. But
it's all the little details that the little emblem in the back of the seat with the flag, Corvette flag.
Tom, you haven't seen a C7?
I haven't seen it at all.
No. Guys, how many times have you seen a C7 in the flesh now?
Yes, we have. We were at the unveiling as General Motors guest, in fact.
Right.
They brought us up there for the unveiling of the Corvette, for the reveal. They called it the reveal. And the car is definitely much more European in look. It's a gorgeous car. But the real key to it is in the small details. It has been completely redone. The frame is different. Everything on the car is different. I think maybe they held a couple of small pieces from years before, but everything on this car is completely new and completely different. And the details are just, some of the details they put into this car are something else. There's going to be the engine and, the transmission on the manual cars is an RPM sensing, as an RPM sensing transmission, which means basically it senses when you're shifting and adjust the RPMs of the engine to your shift, your downshift or upshift. So you shift like a race car driver without really having that kind of technical skill.
I was going to say the new transmission for the C7 manual is a 7-speed, and the technology that went into this is way above all others.
Now, here's a question for you. The backlights, very contentious for everybody. I love them. What are your thoughts on the backlights?
Well, I think what I can tell you this is the pictures do not do the rear end justice at all. The backlights are very three-dimensional. In fact, you can almost put your hand on the bottom of the light and push your hand in. It's that deep into the rear end of the light. It's not just a lens. It's a lens that is three-dimensional. It's very, very, very unique. And with those lights on, I know there's some criticism, but in person, there's a lot less. And the people who are critical, when they do see it in person, are just kind of change their attitude about it.
I mean, for me, I've always loved the C3 ever since I was about 10. And I think it's got some of the little sharp edges that the C3 has. I can see those styling points. I don't know, Tom, what do you think of the C7?
Oh, I think it's
styling-wise?
Styling tour de force, and has got back to that extraordinary impact that the 68 had when it came out. I was in Detroit walking down West Jefferson Avenue on my way home from work when I was working there in 67, and suddenly outside the Playboy Club pulled up a dude in a shirt that you'd be proud of, jumped out, and it was a brand new convertible 68, and it was absolutely stunning in every detail. It was just like nothing else on the street. It was just light years ahead. We've since learned there were disadvantages in some of the ways they styled the car, but it was fantastic at the time, and incredibly important and an amazing achievement for GM. And I took a photograph of it right there and then. I couldn't believe it. And,
why were you outside the Playboy Club?
It was between work and it was. I was too young to go in the Playboy Club.
Whatever.
But it was between work and where I was working for the architect downtown. I was working for them.
I always remember driving my car through my local town a year or two ago, and which is a C75, and there was a little boy standing next to his mum, holding her hand at the zebra crossing, and he just looked at my car and pointed, and I thought he was probably about 4, and I thought, you've never seen one of these cars, but there's something about, there's all these other cars, and he's pointing at my car. And that, I thought that was really quite powerful, because that kid is a blank canvas, but he's looked at that car and gone, I like that car. I thought it was quite interesting.
Oh, that's great.
And that's obviously, I've always loved the C3. I think I had an interest in drag racing from about then, and of course the 68, or the C3 starting in 68, were appearing on the drag strips, and with Craigars on, so that's why mine's got Craigars on it as well.
The blue 427 belonging to Gary Goggin.
Oh yes, yeah.
So that was the one.
And there was a Swedish guy, Gunnar Back, I think, and that was another, that screamed, and the car used to curtsy off the line. I remember the front wheels used to do that, the back wheels used to do that. I can't remember what sort of times he did in it, but that was a very fast car, and very evocative of those times. There's a great website, a UK nostalgia drag racing website, and there's some pictures of both of those cars on there. Right, guys, so what plans have you got for the registry coming up? Any changes of what you're doing?
Well, the plan for this year, the big changes are going to be with the C7, and we've started a C7 Stingray Registry, separate web page for that, breaking away from the C5, C6, which are very coordinated together. So we went ahead and began that, and you can find that on our main website. And from number 2, the bashes that we're going to continue on with the birthday bash this year. We'll be there next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That will be a neat time because pre-production C7s are going to be built next week. And these cars are going to be built to be given to engineers and those folks that need to do some evaluation work on them the following week. So we're going to be there at a good time for the birthday bash in Bowling Green, because at the same time we're there, they're building a good number of C7s to be handed out for their engineers and training group. And so a lot of those cars will be probably present for us to have a chance to see those. And we might get to see a number of colors that are involved with that. Of course, production on the C7 will begin hopefully by August. And we'll be seeing more C7s as we go to the Corvettes of Carlisle event at the last weekend in August. That will be another big C5, C6, C7 event that we'll put on. And then we're looking at possibility of something in California this year or first of next year when the C7 is out. So the emphasis for the registry this year is definitely our C7 involvement, and continue on with that. Of course, we love the C5s and the C6, but this year we're going to dedicate the remainder of this year towards C7, anything we can do to enhance that introduction and to be there available, to work with our members and making sure they have every opportunity to see the C7s as they come undone, as they come out the door.
Jake, you also want to mention about our new Facebook page.
Yes, we currently have a C5-C6 Registry Facebook page. We started it a few months back. It's been getting great responses from our members. A lot of them are getting on to Facebook in that respect just to see it. And we've been trying to post to that every time we do something of significance. We can post to that immediately, be part of the social media net out there and get the information out to our members right away, as opposed to getting it back to the registry or to the website and then getting it put up maybe a few days later. So it's one advantage that we have with Facebook to go ahead and get the word out to everybody. So again, C5-C6 Registry is the way to find that on Facebook.
The internet's just revolutionised this sort of thing, hasn't it? It's just helped spread the word and get worldwide friendships and coordination going on, isn't it?
I never thought I'd be sitting here having a chance to see Gary, who I saw at Sebring.
How did you enjoy your hot lap in the ZR1, Jake?
It was awesome, Gary. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, allowing me to win that over you.
No, I won as well, actually.
So just fill everybody in, guys. What happened? There was a raffle or something?
Yeah, they give out a raffle ticket at the beginning of the day, or beginning of the weekend, and then they have spot raffle draws every now and again. And I think there were four hot laps for the ZR1.
Yes, yes, and I did notice that you took that lap and did not offer that to your beautiful bride Anne. You'll have some explaining to do later on that.
So, and it was a pro driver took you guys around. How did you find that experience? I know someone I know who's been in a car with a racing driver said, as you approach every bend on everything you've learnt up till now, you're convinced you're going to crash.
I would agree. I mean, it was. I videoed it and put it up on YouTube, but I have to tell you that I was holding on as tight as I could. But I tell you, being with a professional that knows what he's doing, the way he was going around Sebring, and I have to tell you, it was no holes barred. I mean, we came out of that, and I'm sure Gary can confirm that. He came out full steam and went for it, and I'm just thinking these are comp tires. These are comp tires. I hope they hold. I hope they hold. But what a great event around the track, and the driver was an awesome. It actually was the 96 overall winner at Sebring, so I felt very excited about that, having a chance to visit with him. But the car is an awesome car. You can't experience a ZR1 on the streets of America probably the way you could really enjoy it in Europe. But I would have to say that's the greatest time I had in a ZR1. No question about it. What an automobile! And that's the current generation. I can't imagine when the future generations of the ZR1s, Z06s, and all the others to come out in the C7 version, how much greater they'll be.
Talking of ZR1s, there was a fabulous ZR1 at the CCCUK Nationals that had come all the way from Belgium. Let's have a look at that car and meet the guy that drove it there. We've got a very special ZR1 car here. It's owned by Danny. Danny, tell us about this car.
Is built for 100-year Lewis Chevrolet as a special edition, and there are not so much cars like this.
So how many of these were made?
we win not just how much there are, but we think about 150 piece, yeah.
Excellent.
Over
And
the world, yeah.
in the whole, so 115 in the whole world of cars to this
whole world,
specification. Okay, so how long have you had this one?
I have this car from March this year.
Okay, and you've obviously bought it brand new.
Yeah, it's brand new, yeah.
And you've driven it from where?
From a dealer in Belgium, Buga.
Okay, and you've driven over from Belgium to come to the Corvette Nationals.
Yeah.
Is this your first UK Corvette
No,
Nationals?
it is the third time that I'm here.
Oh, well, that's good. You obviously enjoy it.
Yeah, it's very good here.
Excellent.
Especially special cars. Different location. It's beautiful.
So tell us a little bit more about the car. What's different? I mean, there's logos on the car, isn't there, for this 100th year? What else is special about it?
There's a supercharger, 01, of course, and he had launch control. That's special on this car.
Lovely. Okay, well, it's a stunning car, absolutely stunning, and a very special car, obviously. So enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
So that was Danny from Belgium, and I believe, Gary, he won Best Overseas Visitor, didn't he?
I believe he did, yes.
Yeah. Have you seen one of those cars, guys? It's a lovely, lovely car, isn't it?
Yeah, those decals are to commemorate Louis Chevrolet, who the company, of course, is named for, and he was a race car driver originally. Even though he started Chevrolet, he was a race car driver, and that was 100 years ago. That was commemorating the start of Chevrolet 100 years ago with a picture of Louis Chevrolet racing.
It's also unique to note that on that 100th anniversary edition that Danny had there, the nice thing about it was that metallic carbon fiber, carbon metallic black paint is the first time that a metallic black has ever been on a Corvette in 60 years, or 59 at that time. So a very unique automobile that he has, and I would dare say that he has a very rare ZR1 there, no question about it.
Yes.
It's also a European edition, that one.
Oh, is it?
It's an official European edition car. That is somewhere between rare and unique, I would say.
Oh, what? So it could quite possibly be the only one in Europe?
I believe there may be one or two others, I don't really know, but that, I mean, I looked at it and I could not believe I was looking at a ZR1 and a 100th edition and a genuine Euro spec car.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's. Now, Gary, you had a point you just wanted to make about the C7.
Yes, so when we was out there, they when you open the tailgate, the actual tailgate is shaped like a Stingray.
Oh, right.
So you don't get that effect until they open
Till
it
you,
up.
you can't see it until you see it.
Yeah.
And of course, the C7 also has the Stingray badge at the sides, doesn't it? Which is, I like that badge. I think it's a great-looking badge, I have to say. Now, on the subject of Stingrays, my faithful old 75 passed its MOT. We have a yearly, I don't know what you do over there, we have an MOT test, Ministry of Transport's sort of roadworthy test that you have every year. Mine's only done about 500 or 1,000 miles, I think, since the last one. So it passed, which was great. And then driving back from the garage, the guys were driving it back round the block, and it just completely cut out. Absolutely cut out, wouldn't start. And so I went round there, and I've got the old distributor, which of course with their HEI, I think 75 was the first year of the HEI, wasn't it, Tom? Yeah. It's got the inbuilt coil, and I'd also got the old ignition module, because I put an Axel one on, and this was I've forgotten, it was one of these high output coils. So I took both of the old things along, put them on, because I didn't have time to do a proper roadside test and swapping both of them one at a time. I just wanted to get it home. Swapped them both out, started straight away. But it's now running badly. So I go on this is the mixed blessing of forums. Go on to the forums about ignition modules, and one person says ignition modules either work or they don't. And then the next posting says, well, when they get hot, they can start to break down and you can get misfires. Tom, what do you think?
Well, I mean, an ignition module is a very quick part to change or substitute. If it was here, we'd try an ignition module. If that didn't make any difference, we'd take it out again and put it back on the shelf, and you would not be charged for the ignition module.
Can they
do
fail gradually, though?
I think they probably can.
Yeah. Jake, how did you find your 78 pace car? How reliable was that?
In 78, I had it for 10 years. I did not have any ignition problems, thank goodness. But I would think the biggest thing I have to tell you about that car was the fit and finish just really wasn't there. I was working at the dealership. I saw Corvettes come in every day, as well as Camaros and everything else. And in those days, you just didn't have the paint jobs on those cars. You just didn't have the fit and finish of the interiors. But you didn't buy them for that either. You bought them to go out and have a good time with as well. Although in 78, horsepower numbers were around 180 horsepower with an optional engine that could take you to 220. But it just wasn't, it was just a great looking automobile. Of course, I'm out of college. I was in love with it. I guess I was going to buy it no matter what.
It's nothing to do with common sense, is it?
No, not at all. Not absolutely at all. But I can tell you that it's just as exciting to have bought my first Corvette as it is to buy the last Corvette that I currently have now. It's that big a deal. It's very exciting. It's nice to order it, get it in, have it come, to see it, to be there, take your wife out in it, or rather, I guess she drives me around now in it. But it's just a great automobile, and they've come so far in these years, and what a difference they've made in 35 years from when I had my first 25th anniversary in 1978. But what a big difference they've come, and they're going to continue that way. And I certainly can agree completely with Tom there on General Motors that they do not do at other organizations. I guarantee you, they test and test and test, and we hear all the time. I know when Dan and I would say to a couple of the design engineers, hey, when are you going to have a different wheel, or when are you going to have something done? Oh, well, as soon as it gets through validation, which will be about 2 years. What? How long does it take? And, well, that's the reason it takes a long time.
Right, well, we'd hoped to have Nigel with us, and we just realised that one of our laptops had dropped offline. So poor old Nigel's been sitting watching a offline laptop here, but we've got him now. Nigel, are you there?
Part of the problem here today is we've had some epic rain for the last 36 hours, and most of Chicago is currently underwater.
So, Nigel, looking ahead in the Le Mans Series, what's coming up?
This weekend, there's the race at Long Beach, but also this weekend we've got the Rolex Series are running at Road Atlanta for the first time. So they've got the DP Corvettes running at Road Atlanta, and the regular Corvette guys are going to be running at Long Beach.
I presume they haven't had any chance to do any testing for this weekend yet, so we don't know how they're shaping up.
I think they start today, but of course they're 3 hours behind us, so it's probably like 10 o'clock in the morning over in Long Beach at the moment.
So if I can return to Jake and Dan just for a final comment, what do you think is the best thing about the C5 C6 registry? What's the sort of greatest achievement that you've had?
I'd say one of the items that just sort of came along from beginning the registry and then kind of working through it is at the very beginning we were trying to come up with an event, and the birthday bash became that because we were celebrating the first year of the C5 in 1998 that had came out in 1997. And the concept behind that was to develop an opportunity at an event that engineers, Dave Hill was chief engineer at the time, his folks that worked on the transmissions, the engines, the interiors, the body of the car, folks from the plant. I mean, the museum has a very unique situation there that is located literally across the street from the production plant of the Corvette. And to bring those engineers and those production folks together to an event where the average Corvette owner could come and see the people that he reads about in the magazines. The Dave Hills, the Tad Schechters, the Harlan Charles, John Cafaro back then when he designed the C5. All the folks that were reading about in the magazines were then brought to life, were right there in front of them for them to ask the questions that they thought about when they were reading those magazine articles. And our operation became the very first operation to allow members, individuals who just bought a Corvette, to come to an event where they could meet and talk directly with the people who built their cars, designed their cars, engineered their cars, and give them direct feedback. I can tell you before that, guys, that never happened at any event, anywhere, at any time. And this is one of the great things. And this is real time. This was about having people talk to you about your car today. Oh, you can go to an event now where they're talking about the 69 Camaro, and the guy will show up from 1969 who did this, that, or the other. That's fine. But the reality of it is this is immediate, hands-on. You're talking to an engineer about a problem or a situation you may have right then at that particular time. No one had done that. And I consider the registry's greatest achievement to this day is bringing engineers together with our members at Carlisle, at the Birthday Bash, at California events, and other events that we did in Las Vegas. And every event of those had chief engineers, Corvette people. And I have to thank Dave Hill at the time, Tom Wallace later, for his wisdom in understanding what we were trying to accomplish and his backing of that particular situation. Dan?
That's it. You covered.
Well surmised. Well, good luck with it, guys, and also good luck with the C7 Stingray Registry as well.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and maybe we can chat again soon. Gary and Tom, thanks, and Tom, thanks for hosting us. Also, thanks to Caroline, who's been sorting our cameras out, Cliffy, who's been cutting our pictures, and Ian doing our sound, and also Nigel. Brief. Sorry, it was a bit brief today due to a little technical gremlin. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Well, thanks for joining us, and also a quick thanks to Mark Johnson for lending us some gear that was critical to us doing this broadcast today. That has been a webcast number 4. Join us for number 5 as soon as we can possibly rustle it up. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.